Welcome back to Inside the Upside Down. I'm sorry, it's Into the Rabbit Hole. Wrong show. So I come back and I introduce the wrong show. Welcome to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. Happy New Year. It's one of those evenings. First day back in a few weeks being laid off. That's the way it is. We have Andrea Perron on tonight, special guest. Absolutely love her. We're going to be talking about her new book, A Wonder to Behold, Guideposts to Intergalactic Engagement with Humanity.
That's it. That's what I do. I sing to the sky.
Absolutely. Well, welcome back. I did it. Welcome, Mad Hatters, Edge of the Rabbit Hole 2019 edition. First guest of the year, Andrea Perron. We absolutely love her. Little technical difficulty here to get things started off. I mean, basically, I heard the doors rattle from the wind, and then boom, we were down. So we're back now. Where did we leave off? I don't know. We were just introing the book, right?
No, actually, I was saying some very nice things about you.
Oh, you want to go back there?
and you were getting all blushy and stuff. And I was saying how I think that it would behoove humanity to more regularly point out each other's attributes and ignore those things that might rub us the wrong way. So, but there's nothing about you that rubs anybody the wrong way, Michael. You are a very sweet, wonderful man and a wonderful friend.
As are you, Andrea. As are you.
Thank you. And Vanessa is such a sweet pea with those big, beautiful blue eyes. Oh my God, so lovely. So anyway, here's the thing. It took me about three to 3.5 weeks once I had made all my notes and transferred all my notes into a Word document. I started in July. By the end of August, I thought I was about 3 or 4 weeks away from publication. I did. And then a number of unforeseen circumstances occurred that pushed it back and pushed it back. And a lot of what pushed it back was that more things were happening, more things were unfolding. And I had 6 individuals who were helping me edit, so I'd have as many eyes on the prize as possible. And so there was, some time lag in that in terms of who can get what read as quickly and any changes that they saw that I might need. I only made a few typos during the whole thing. This poured out of me, as John Tenney said to me, you opened a vein. And I said, yes, I did. And I did for a reason. I mean, it's so important to me that my books be meticulously presented to. I have a great deal of respect, enormous respect for my readers, and also a belief that they deserve my very best effort. That's what they deserve. And so as I went through and edited and augmented and added and chose photographs and laid things out and then checked the proof and laid things out a little differently and changed the font and changed the style and, changed this and changed that. All of this takes time. This is not the kind of book that a trade publisher would touch, nor would I allow them to. Because once you sign with a trade publisher, they own you. The way that I do it, and I believe the way that Michael does it, is to publish independently.
Yeah. Well, I have my own publishing house, so I do everything, through Haunted Road Media, and Vanessa publishes through me, and we have a number of authors. So, but essentially, I'm not going to let a trade publisher get a hold of anything these days.
No, because then they really do own you. They tell you where you're going to be, when you're going to be. Those days are gone. I mean, and the subject matter for this book is just too intense and too extreme and too provocative for any trade publisher to touch this. Even if I wanted to take that route, which I don't, I want to maintain complete, total control over my own material. And for all intents and purposes, this is my memoir. And it is it started out in my Word document about 160 pages, and it's now been converted to a book, and it's 455. So
Yeah,
you know,
and the subject matter. I mean, I know it's a deep passion for you, and you've been saying for a long time now that you believe this is an extremely important matter for humanity.
I think it's the only important matter for humanity. I don't think that there is anything more important. I think that we, as a race, ask ourselves two questions, two really pertinent questions during the course of our lifetimes, if we are thinking, beings. And one is there anything after our death? Is there life after death? And the other one is, are we alone in the universe? And yes, there is life after death, and no, we're not alone in the universe. Um, but they're the reason I get up every morning. They're the reason that I wake in the middle of the night and go outside and have uh, encounters. And I would say the vast majority of my sightings occur in broad daylight, but that's only because I'm outside as much as I possibly can be interacting. And because of what I see, and because of my ability to see interdimensionally, I get quite a galactic show. Um, but it is my ability to teach other people to engage that is the crux of the matter. Because whether it be fear or just a reticence about connection, that kind of connection,
Yeah.
it's a big leap of faith to take. As both of you know, dealing with the paranormal and such depth, once you open that door, you can't close it again. And so a big part of the book is letting my reader off the hook. Letting them know, okay, here it's coming. I'm going to tell you how to do this. Now, if you're not ready, it's okay. You don't have to be ready. It everybody comes to it in their own space and time, as it were, if they're interested. But I figure if they're reading the book at all, then they have some level of curiosity. Well, the universe sometimes laughs at us. And in the process of laying this out and going line by line, word by word, paragraph by paragraph, page by page, photograph by photograph, making this the very best book it could be, my publisher realized that we weren't going to hit our launch date because they knew what they had backed up in their pipeline of books publishing simultaneously. So they contacted Amazon because we had a placeholder put up for for the cover of the book, but so that people could pre-order it, which gave Amazon an idea of how many they would need to print in advance before the launch date once the file went live from my publisher. So my publisher, Gatekeeper Press, called them about 2 weeks before, actually longer than 2 weeks before the publishing date. And it was between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we were just coming into the big holiday, and let them know that they wanted to push the date back, that we weren't going to be completely done by that point. And that was confirmed through Amazon. And then when the date arrived, they published countless books with the cover of my new book and in a flicker, the book I wrote with George Lopez as the inside.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Now, I didn't even know that something like that was possible to happen. And I looked up at the universe and I said, and the reason for this is why? And all I heard was laughter. And so many people have contacted me in the midst of me working 16, 18 hours a day, meticulously going through the proof so that they get the perfect book when it's delivered. And Amazon's going to make good on all of these. They're very embarrassed and very ashamed, and
That's
it's
good.
corporate
Yeah.
America, and the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. That said, everybody that has contacted me says, "Oh, I'm not sending this back. This is a
Yeah.
collector's item, and I want you to sign
Absolutely.
it, and I want George to sign it, and this is a collector's item. There
Yep.
will only be as many as were printed before they yanked it, and that's it." So
Yeah.
nobody sent them back that I know of.
Yeah,
So
it's a rare breed. It's a rare breed. And
and
Diane
so George,
Hilbert's in the chat, and I know this. You have. We were talking about earlier. You having haggard writer face. So
yes, I have
the
haggard writer face, and if she mentions it, I'm going to leap through this computer and slap her.
yeah, she's Haunted Road Media's Fairy Queen, and she's just wondering, is the real book any closer to coming out?
Yes, moment by moment, day
Yeah.
by day, hour by hour. Yes, yes, yes. And I am so sorry it took as long as it did, but I discovered. Hold on. Oh my God, I'm getting sick. Oh, I just know it. I feel it. Oh God. Um. Okay. No, it has to go away. It has to stop. Go away. Stop. Um. Coffee. Hold on. Coffee.
There you
Coffee.
go. Get the coffee. There we go.
Mm. Yes, moment by moment, it's closer to being done. And but I can't just slap it out there and rush it and make it. That wouldn't be. Everything I do is best foot forward,
Yeah, you want to
except for my
make sure it's a good quality book. Yeah.
yeah, and so everybody's going to need to be a little bit more patient, and I appreciate their patience with me because I never expected this to happen. And I never expected these glitches to happen. And I never expected that Amazon would drop the ball. And I never expected that it would take this long. And I joke about it. And I tell people all the time on my gravestone, it's going to say, "This took longer than expected. Be right back."
Well, now, I
That's
mean,
awesome.
do you believe that everything happens for a reason to a
It
certain
does.
extent, and that
Yeah.
there's a reason it's taking this long?
Well, George and I have this unique, um, loving adversarial relationship. And I figured when the phone rang and it was him on the other end after I had posted what happened, I figured he was going to just bust my chops immediately about it. And so I answered the phone this way: "George, hi. I figured out a new way to promote in a Flickr." And of course he lost it because what could he do? And he was calling with his condolences because he and I did that book together, and we both know how much time it took, how long it took, how much work was involved, countless hours. But I'm very proud of In a Flicker, and I think it is an absolutely beautiful book.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I'm really
Yep.
excited. In fact, I've got an excellent screenwriter doing the screenplay for it right now.
Oh,
Not me. I'm
fantastic.
not doing it.
I'd love
And
to see that on the silver screen. Absolutely.
yeah, it's. I think it'll be extraordinary. Yeah, Jeff Ward is writing it, and he's a Hollywood screenwriter, and he's also a personal friend of mine. And he suggested that he could handle the material, and I was like, "What? You would do this?" And he said, "Yeah, he's doing it," and I can't wait to see the finished product. But between working on this book, A Wonder to Behold, and working on the screenplays for the films of House of Darkness, House of Light, I'm I'm living on coffee and catnaps is really what I'm doing. And I just got back from Georgia day before yesterday after being up there for 3+ weeks over the holidays with my family there. Dad came up for Christmas and we had a really great time. But I finally realized, pertinent to what Vanessa asked, does everything happen for a reason? Yes. And it wasn't until Christmas Day that I realized what the reason was for all the delays and the stumbling blocks and the struggle of getting this book out into the world. And it's because of something that happened on Christmas Day. that I have to include at the end of this book now. And I
okay.
can do it in a good-sized paragraph, but this book wouldn't be complete without it.
So it absolutely needed it.
Now I understand exactly why the universe laughs at me routinely when life doesn't go on my prescribed timeline.
Yeah, I was laughing. It was like, we're not done. We're not done with that yet. Come on, you have more to add.
Certainly, we're not done with you yet. I mean, that's what they say to me. I am a work in progress, as we all are, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm acutely aware of the importance of this. And I'm not prone to hyperbole. If I use a word, I use it very deliberately, with forethought. And when I say that this volume is important, I mean it, because it will unlock the key to comprehension for many people. And I'm so thrilled that people are so anxious to get their hands on it. This is a real departure. In the same way that In a Flicker was a huge departure for me, a radical shift from House of Darkness, House of Light, which is all light and love and touchy-feely and a little scary here and there, but mostly, light and love, to going into something as dark as In a Flicker. And then going to this, Vanessa had mentioned about this book being entertaining. I don't think there's anything entertaining about this book at all. Other than if you just find a certain amount of enjoyment reading in general. And a lot of people take great pleasure in reading, my mother included. My mother hasn't even touched this manuscript yet. She's waiting for the hardcover book to be placed in her hands.
No, okay.
And she will delve in. She doesn't do computers, and she's not going to sit and scroll through my original manuscript. She won't. But
it's tough on a computer screen.
It is, and she's just not familiar with this stuff. So we'll keep her old school. She's comfortable there. So, but anyway, this is she knows about almost everything that's in this. But it was, I think, so important for me to write it, not only because of the enlightenment factor around it, because I discuss what is normal in my life, but what is considered paranormal by most other people. It is absolutely normal for me to have numerous sightings of extraterrestrials on a day-to-day basis. And even if it's just deliberate pings of light in the sky, repeatedly, or, just a shot of light across the sky, traveling so fast and horizontally that it picks up the curvature of the earth. We don't make stuff that moves that fast in the sky. We don't.
Right.
And I know, because it's so familiar to me, I know the feeling that I get when I see them. And they've been incredibly supportive. I've had a couple of incidents in August when I felt absolutely sure that I was ready to wrap this up. I received a galactic message, and it came from beings who I had had encounters with before, and they came back, and they said to me, "Don't forget us." That was what I heard in my head. Don't forget us. And I was almost defensive when I heard that, when I felt that, when I intuited that message so clearly. And I said, "What do you mean, don't forget you? Of course I didn't forget you." And they insisted that I had.
Oh, wow.
And I came back, and it was like 2:30 in the morning. I had just stopped working for the night and gone to lay down when I was abruptly disturbed and basically told, "Come outside." And there they were in the palm tree across the street. And I came back in the house, came back in here into the man cave, opened up the computer, opened up the Word program, and went through that entire manuscript. And I had indeed forgotten to tell their story. And they knew that. And I don't know how they knew that, but they did. And so I sat here until 5 o'clock in the morning writing their story. And that section is called Hearts of Palm.
Oh, wow.
Because they land in the palm trees across the street.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Then I've started it, and I've been so busy. But we have some questions in the chat that I do want to get to, and there's a $25 super chat that just came in from Andrew Cox. Says Happy New Year's, everybody. Thank you very much, Andrew. Absolutely appreciate that.
Thank you.
So Sharon Lane wants to know if you've been dealing with interdimensional beings since your childhood.
Since I think my first conscious contact, and I refer to it as that, as such for a reason, was when I was either 13 or 14, and I cannot remember. I know that it was in the month of October. My birthday is in October. I don't know if it was before my birthday or after my birthday. But so I just say I was 13-ish. But I feel certain that I had contact and had some connections made prior to that time. I just don't have a conscious memory of them. But what I saw at that age was my personal paradigm shift. It changed everything. And I've had several paradigm shifts during the course of my life, including the death of my baby sister, April, which changed everything. Everything. Well, nothing will ever be the same. Everything in my life is now after April. And I address that in the book, and her intergalactic engagements and her coming and going. But yes, my first encounter was so close and so miraculous. I don't think is an inappropriate word to use. It was miraculous to me. And I saw an entire flotilla of ships pass over the farmhouse. I don't know why I was standing in the front yard alone. I don't know how long it took exactly. I don't know why when it was over. I don't remember going back into the house. But my next conscious memory after I saw the flotilla was standing in the kitchen peering out the lace curtains, and my mother asking me what I was looking for.
And you talk about that in the first trilogy.
Do I?
I recall the story, so I recall the flotilla of ships being mentioned somewhere in there. Yeah.
In the trilogy?
I believe so, because I recall the story and I remember reading it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh gosh. Well, it's been so long since I wrote that. I don't remember. But yeah, it was, and that did change everything for me. And I didn't even tell my mother about it until much later after it happened. But it was beautiful, Mike. It was heavenly. It was so beautiful. And it looked like the big vessel looked like an upside down city. And I could see all the lights and the protrusions off the bottom of the vessel, and then it was surrounded by a couple of dozen smaller, much smaller ships that were all in geometric figures. And that was kind of the beginning for me. But my sisters, when I was writing the trilogy, my sisters didn't really want me to mention anything about that. Well, some of them didn't, because they were all well aware of my proclivity to engage with extraterrestrials.
Right.
But they thought that I would be perceived as too out there, that I would be taken more seriously if I was just writing about dead people than sentient, prescient beings circumnavigating the globe. And I had to explain to them that, and my parents were completely supportive. My parents have both had numerous encounters. So it's, I think I come by it genetically, honestly. But
You think that
yeah,
plays a part into it? Is the genetics?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know exactly how it works, but science is beginning to reveal some elements of it that I think are particularly interesting, including the study of the Rh negative blood factor. My mother carries it. She had to have shots for all of us because her blood was not compatible with my father's. And so she had gamma globulin shots, I think, in order to be able to carry us to term. And we're all carriers of the Rh negative blood factor, and a very small percentage of human beings carry it. It wasn't introduced into the human bloodline until sometime around the last ice age, and human blood does not mutate. It was introduced into the human bloodline. So when people take those genetic tests, those DNA tests, where they send you back the pie chart, if you get a big wedge that says it's all gray and it says other, that might be some indication that your galactic family is in your pie chart.
Right.
But
So you believe that the extraterrestrials did actually manipulate human DNA?
I feel relatively certain of it, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's why there's such a wide variety of human beings. You know, I mean, we're all like 0.0003 apart in terms of the color of our skin and the color of our hair and the color of our eyes. We're all Homo sapiens. We're all human beings, humanoid. But then again, a lot of the races of our galactic family are humanoid as well. And they also have belief systems similar to our own. They believe in source and prime creator. The Pleiadians call it prime creator. So you know we have more in common than not, and we are truly and deeply loved. And I think that's the most important message of the book. And I don't agree with them about everything. I mean, I have my disputes with them sometimes because I know this sounds crazy, but it's not. I mean, they want us to forgive and forget everything that's happened prior to now. They want us to absolve the powers that be for keeping such an important secret from the rest of humanity and just move on. And I have trouble with that because there's a part of me that's very justice minded, and
right.
it offends me that for more than 7 decades, our government has kept information that is of critical importance to the planet under wraps and used and manipulated for their own purposes in order to retain their illusion of power. And that's not just true of our government, it's true of multiple governments around the world.
Oh, sure.
And more pressure has been exerted upon the United States because England, the UK is releasing all of their information. Australia has, Germany has, I believe France has. Anything, you know, their UFO chronicles, their books, their research, their sightings, their evidence is all coming out.
Yeah, there's so much out there these days from other countries, and the
Yeah.
U.S. is safeguarding it. We do have a $10 super chat from Dustin Samario, so thank you very much, Dustin. Absolutely appreciate that. Also, Diane Hilbert wants to let you know, she mentioned this a while ago, but that Amazon actually sent her the wrong book twice.
Hire the handicapped.
Andrea,
go ahead.
Let me ask real quick. When you say that they're wanting us to forgive and forget,
Yeah.
does that imply, or do you believe there is any implication that it's because it's a situation that they will handle, or do they truly want us to just forgive and forget?
They truly just want us to live in peace and forgive and forget, and to give up our adversarial predisposition about it. And I'm not quite ready to give that up yet. I'm still mad as hell. I think that, and I've been one of these people that's been screaming disclosure, disclosure, disclosure for years and years and years. And then when it finally came in December of 2017, there was no reaction to it. I couldn't even believe it. I mean, here we have official disclosure from the Department of Defense, including film footage, and all the major media outlets picked it up, all of them, and it was like America went mute. I don't know if it was because it made them fearful, or if they finally just shrugged their shoulders and said, well, what took so long? Or if they thought it was fake news. I don't know. I don't understand why it seemed to stun people, why it wasn't the talk around every water cooler, why people weren't more effervescent about it, or curious, or speaking. I mean, I looked all over social media. I didn't see anything. Other than a few comments of, well, finally, and stuff like that, or, oh, that's bull, things like that. And very few. Did you see anything?
No, I didn't see anything at all. And, I've certainly heard about the disclosure through other means. And I don't know if it's just, are we still, or most people out there, or the major news media and the government, are they just still not willing to really accept the fact? I don't understand. Is it maybe, is it religion? Or are they afraid that, religion would somehow blow up because of it? I'm not sure.
Well, I think that religion will blow up because of it eventually.
I personally, I think it all plays hand in hand. I think you can certainly have extraterrestrials with having, yeah.
Yeah, or people will run to their churches, run to where they feel safe, run to where they feel cloistered with their own kind, people that think the same way that they do, and that might happen as well. But the only thing that I can, I look at this world and the shape that we're in. That's why I say the book's not entertaining. It's not.
I didn't mean that in a bad way.
No,
I didn't mean that in a bad way at all. But for me, any type of education that's engaging is entertaining.
Okay.
If it's engaging, if it makes you think, if it makes you take yourself out of this beautiful little box that we put ourselves in, if it does in a way that snaps your mind and makes you smile and makes you think and makes you squint and makes you cry, that's entertaining, but you're getting something from it. It's not like the Kardashians on TV.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, I'll watch documentaries on TV all the time that people think are boring, and I'm sitting there watching because to me, I'm interested in the information. So
absolutely.
Andrea, I just wanted to let you know that Keith and Sandra Johnson are down in the chat. So they're showing you some love.
I love them with all my heart.
They're fantastic.
With all my heart. Wonderful people. I know we had a great time this summer at the Ocean State Paracon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. We were so lucky too with the weather. Oh my God, did we luck out with the weather?
Oh, it was beautiful. There were threats. I think of that last day. There were some threats of rain, and it never did. So
it went all around us. It never actually hit Burrillville.
Yep.
But yeah, it was so wonderful to have you come for the event, Mike. It was very special to me that you were there. Really great. And I know Diane appreciated it too, because she is your biggest fan. I can attest to the fact that Diane Hilbert, the Fairy Queen, is your biggest fan.
That's fantastic. I really enjoyed meeting her and her husband, for the first time. Absolutely fantastic, beautiful people. Meeting Keith and Sandra for the first time. And so, and for me, it was almost like a bit of a homecoming, having spent 10 years of my childhood in New England, growing up in Massachusetts, but always going out to Rhode Island all the time because my uncle had lived out there. So, it was almost like another homecoming. with those old roots of mine meeting, the new roots of today with you and everybody else out there. So yeah, it was fantastic. So
Well,
we do have some other questions I do want to get to here. You guys have some wonderful questions down there. Donna Gorton, we'll get to this one first. She asked it a while ago. So is Andrea interested in hearing people's personal experiences that align with her own?
oh yes, I talk to people all the time, and in fact, one of the reasons that the book took longer than expected was because I was basically instructed to contact some of my friends who have had experiences themselves. And I have friends all over the world who have disclosed to me personally, through our own personal conversations, whether it be in person or on Skype or whatever, about some very intense things that happened to them. So there's an entire chapter in the book called Truth Will Out.
Oh, okay.
And it's the testimonials of about, I would say, between 15 and 20 people that have had experiences either in my company or on their own. Either being with me out at different events, or having their first encounters, or when were their first encounters. My friend Stephen from England detailed a number of encounters that he's had over the course of his life. And when I contacted all these people, the first thing I thought was, well, that's not such a great idea. They're not going to want to say no to me, but they're going to have to say no because they're not going to want to put themselves out there in a global venue in a book. Every single one of them said yes, absolutely, automatically yes. What should I do? Where should I send it? How do you want it? And so there's an entire chapter of the book that is their personal testimonials. So it's not just my own experiences, but those of countless others. And I really do believe, after all my years of fist pounding and screaming at the government to, get their act together and start releasing this information, that we're ready, bring it on. We are the point of disclosure. You, me, those of us that have had incredible experiences, but we remain credible sources of information. We're not pathological liars. We're not out there defrauding, people around us. We live normal lives. We hold down jobs. We raise our kids. We keep roofs over our heads. We are responsible adults who, there is no question as to the personal veracity or integrity of any of the people that I've published in this book. I know them personally, and I've known them for many years. So they're all included, and I consider it one of the most compelling chapters in the entire book. Yes, I am very open to other people's experiences, not just because it gives them an opportunity, perhaps for the first time, to tell their story to someone who is going to believe them. So it frees them, it liberates them to release this out into the ether. It's very healing. It's very cleansing. It also gives me an opportunity to process their story and do some comparative analysis between what they've experienced, what I've experienced, and what others I know have experienced. And maybe that's the paranormal researcher in me that wants to, to tie all, to connect the dots, to tie all the little knots together, to put the puzzle together one piece at a time. Maybe that's it. But yes, I get as much out of it as they do.
Yeah,
So yes,
Vanessa, how much have you heard this before? Because we talk about this with the Encounters books that we put out. It's the exact same thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, and I'm wondering, and I bet I already know the answer to this, but because of how you've brought other people's stories in and kind of connected those dots and crossed those T's, I bet that you've been able to actually get rid of a lot of people's fear, that they held these instances inside themselves for fear of being judged or that they were crazy or whatever. But just by sharing them, not only did you make them feel at home and safe and given a way to disclose this, but you also solidified what they were talking about. and made them know that they're not the only ones, and that what they might have thought was really uncomfortable or unheard of, or whatever words you can think of, that is actually normal, almost to a certain degree.
Yeah, it is. I think of it as normal, perfectly normal. I think anything that exists is normal.
You took the stigma away.
Well, I hope to, and the fear factor, and to take that out, because it's irrelevant. I mean, it has no place in the discourse. All it does is interfere with what is inevitable, which is conscious contact between humanity and extraterrestrials. As we raise the vibration of this planet and lift ourselves out of the muck and mire that we have created, and come into a new understanding that we are spiritual beings who are having a human experience, and that we're not just relegated to a 3D, 5-dimensional world, but that we live in a multi-dimensional universe, and it's all so much bigger than what we allow our perceptions to allow. You know, we're the one that fabricates the veil. There's no veil between one dimension and the next dimension. Everything is interconnected. Everything is energy. Everything is existence. It is all interconnected and all interrelated. As above, so below. All of it.
There you go.
Is one thing. One thing. And so we're the ones with the Post-it notes that like to rip them off and compartmentalize everything and put everything in its own little square box and
That's humans for you.
That way. Yeah, you know,
we think we're making it easier when in fact we're making it 10 times more difficult.
Yeah, we're complicating things, absolutely. And I think that ultimately we will come to that awareness, and that is part of our ascension process. You know, as we spiritually ascend, as we come into an awareness, as we see our old reality with new eyes. And that's really what it comes down to. Our reality hasn't changed. Everything that exists now and that is coming to light in terms of human enlightenment, this is all old news. This has all been our reality since time immemorial. It's our awareness that has shifted, not the reality. So I think that when we come to that understanding, and when we see how we fit in the grand scheme of things, and how unique and important each one of us is, and how each one of us is responsible for choosing to live in the light, to lift each other up, to come to the conclusion that we are all in this together. We're getting there. And it's a slow, tedious, laborious process, much like writing a book and publishing a book. It's a slow, tedious, laborious process.
True enough.
But we are getting there, and we will achieve this. I have to have that hope for humanity. There are too many good people in the world. Good conquers evil. Love conquers fear. You know, in much the same way I've said this to you in how many interviews about the farmhouse. Good conquers evil. Love conquers fear. This is a universal message. It applies in many venues.
On a personal level, real quick, Andrea, based on your knowledge, something has occurred in me over the past couple of weeks. It started before the end of the year, where as much tumultuous situations as I've been in, and as much disappointment and joy that I've had over the past few months, something settled. And I just understood that for whatever reason, reaction wasn't necessary. That I needed to become less reactionary, that I needed to let that go, to let the need to be in your face when I felt slighted go. And I don't know where that came from. Is that part of that process?
It is. And, you know, that proclivity in all of us is toxic for all of us.
Yeah.
And what is toxic is rising to the surface to be cleansed now. This is part of your spiritual ascension. And it's happening to countless millions of people. It's part of the wave of consciousness raising. that is sweeping across this globe. And it's so very important because you've got to get to your right and proper place before you will be able to help others along with this. And that's your role. That's what you're here to do, is to help humanity heal and to help save this world. That's why you're here. That's why all of us are here at this time. And if you have any question in your mind about that, just go find a mirror and stare into your own eyes and see the universe within them. And you will understand who you are and why you are here right now. But you've got to rid yourself of what, the last earthling vestiges of ego. That's ego that interferes with you and causes you to have a knee-jerk reaction to a slight, even a perceived slight. You don't need that ego. You don't. Check it at the door. You are whole and pure and perfect, precisely the way you are. And your ego is counterintuitive and counteractive to your ascension. And what it will do is hold you back and say, no, I'm not good enough and I need to be defensive about this.
True.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You're pure and perfect and whole, precisely the way you are. Now, part of what you're going through is also the grounding, because you are part of the ground crew. And the grounding is very revealing in a lot of ways. A lot of elements of your humanity that you don't perceive to be attributes will be rising to the surface to be cleansed. And as that happens, you will feel more increasingly calm in the midst of complete, utter turmoil and upheaval. You will be ground zero. You will be the central focal point for you keeping yourself centered in using your own moral compass to determine how you react and interrelate with others. And you will also find that there are certain people who will very naturally fall away from you when they are no longer getting that reaction, because that's why they're there. They're there as a mirror to reflect, to show you, to poke you, to provoke you, to get you to react so that you will realize that you don't need to. And then they will go away.
It's very true. It's very true. And the calm that comes with it, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Certain things irritate me, but what I have found is I am less likely to go public or to raise the volume, so to speak, because I'm like, I'm actually starting to think, is it worth it? Is it necessary? Will it move me forward? And when all three or any one of those or any combination is no, it doesn't serve a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing any good. For 5 seconds I feel great, and then I'm like, man, why'd I do that? It's just fallen away. And it's a very bizarre feeling.
I burn my anger as
Oh, I can't hear you, love.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. It's you.
Yeah, that's Vanessa. It happened earlier when we were first setting up.
I can't hear a mic either.
Yeah, it's you. It's all you, Vanessa. Well, since I guess the crazy internet god said you're done, Vanessa. Let's get to a question real quick here, and then so if we can fix Vanessa. From Framolino, when you're in the dimensional plane with these beings, what stories do they ask you to bring to us?
Well, I'm always in the dimensional plane. I only visit 3D when I absolutely have to be here. I'm not comfortable on Earth. I never have been. I've always wondered what all of this weirdness was about. I never felt like I belonged here, that some really big cosmic mistake got made. I've lived my whole life that way. It hasn't been until recent years when I realized that I can talk about this without any fear, that I have started to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of community with my fellow human beings, my fellow earthlings. But I still feel like an oddball, like beam me up, Scotty. This is.
You feel more like a visitor here than this is.
I do,
Yeah.
I do, and the only place that has ever felt like home to me has been the farmhouse, which was a portal cleverly disguised as a farmhouse. So yeah, I'm comfortable. I am most comfortable being in a state of multi-dimensionalism, I guess, is the best way for me to put that. But that said, I've tried to add positively to the discourse of planet Earth, and most of my connection to extraterrestrials has not been face to face. Only once did I have literally a face to face connection that was so compelling that when it was over, all I did was cry for 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. What happened there?
It was a close encounter that I had on Skype, and I write about it at length. It's probably one of the largest sections in the chapter Conscious Contact.
Okay, so you go deep into this in the book.
Yeah, and it happened between my friend Susan McVicker and myself, and the being that came onto the screen, she could see the back of his head and I could see his face. But he usurped our space on Skype and came right into the image as clearly as, my mother saw him for a fraction of a second before I disconnected the call when I felt like my head was going to blow off. It was literally getting uncomfortable, and I believe I was receiving information in the form of what is called a download in ufology. But it really did change me. It really altered my perspective because he was not what I expected that they would look like. But there are a multitude of races that routinely visit this Earth or are cohabitating with us. There are numerous so-called aliens that dwell among us. And Whitley Strieber has detailed this at great length in his own works, in Communion, in Transformation, etc. I highly encourage anybody that's interested in the subject matter to read the work of Whitley Strieber. I think he is groundbreaking and visionary in his approach, and also a fearless spiritual warrior, a really, truly remarkable human being. But there are many, many people who have had experiences that it literally drove them into the field. They felt compelled. The vast majority of the messaging that I receive is telepathic in nature. In other words, I'm not hearing a specific voice, although sometimes I do hear specific words. I'm sorry, I'm having...
It's okay. It's all right. And we did lose Vanessa. She was able to get a message off to me that says, I can't get back on. Give my love to Andrea.
Okay. All my love, sweetheart. Yeah. All right. I'll give you a prime example.
Okay.
One night I went to bed, and this is a chapter in the book. It's probably the shortest chapter in the book, but it was also one of the most important, and it's called The Chicken and the Egg. We question our existence, which came first, how did we get here, what is this, why do I belong, are we alone, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'd gone to bed a little earlier than usual this particular night, and I was sound asleep when something jarred me in my bed, like literally shook the bed. And it woke me, but then I said, oh, no, I'm sleeping, leave me alone. I started to go back to sleep, and then it happened again. So I got up begrudgingly, I went outside. My attitude was not the best. I'm usually very grateful to them and very humble, and because I am so grateful to them, but I had a
Sure.
bad attitude that night and I just wanted to sleep. And I went outside and I said, "What? What?" With real snarky.
Right.
I'm not snarky, so that was unlike me. And I didn't see anything in the sky. What happened was I saw a flash of light behind my third eye.
Oh, wow.
Shoo. It was just there. And what I saw in my mind's eye was a vision of when I was 12 years old, and my mom and my dad and my sisters and I all packed into the car, and we drove across we lived in the corner of Rhode Island. We drove across a 10-minute drive into Connecticut to go to a chicken farm so that my parents had found out was there so that we could buy fresh eggs. And when we got there, my dad started talking to the farmer, and his wife took us, my mom and the 5 little kids, out to a section of the facility where they allowed chicks to be born.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we walked in, and there were a whole row of eggs in this warming tray, in these little cup-like containers, and they were like the machine was sitting on the eggs from upside down instead of a mama hen being on them.
Right.
And one of them started to move, and I saw the tiniest little beak start pecking its way through the egg, and I spontaneously, out of sheer ignorance, reached out to put my hand around the egg to crack the egg open
Oh.
so I could help the chicken be born. I wanted to see the baby chick, and I wanted to help it be born. And my mother stopped me, and she grabbed my hand very gently and pulled it away and said, "Oh no, honey, if you help the baby be born, it will die."
Yep.
I was absolutely mortified that I almost, from literally sheer
Oh.
ignorance, almost killed a baby chick. Perfectly innocent, perfect yellow baby chick. And what she was trying to explain to me was that the amount of energy that it requires for that baby to peck its way out of its own shell so that it can emerge into the larger world is equivalent to the amount of energy it will require to sustain its own life outside the shell.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was the message. That was the message. And so what did I do? I came in the house, opened up the computer, sat myself down here in the man cave, and wrote a treatise called The Chicken and the Egg so that I could share with the world what I had just been told. We have
Nice.
to save ourselves. We have to peck our way out of our own egg. They're not here to crack it for us. They're not. They can't.
That
They
makes
are
sense.
here
That makes complete
to
sense.
enlighten us.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I'm looking forward to reading all that in the book, which I guess the hopefully corrected copies will be out here very soon. But we do have to wrap up the show. So how can everybody find you, find the book? I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen here. So there's the book.
Yeah, I will make a huge, unmistakable announcement the day my publisher tells me the book goes live. I am deep into the reading of the proof, making sure everything is laid out appropriately and according to my specifications. I think it is absolutely beautiful. They have done a wonderful job. My designer has been meticulous, has worked right along with me. And I'm hoping I will let everybody know. I mean, there won't be, if you follow me on Facebook, you can follow me at A Wonder to Behold on my new book page, and I keep regular updates there. And also on my personal page, Andrea Perron, in my fan page, Buttercup Brigade, A World Awakening. I will have messages out everywhere the instant that I receive the phone call that the book has gone live. And then hopefully
Fantastic.
Amazon will stop printing in a flicker inside the cover of A Wonder to Behold.
Well, I did check the page. Apparently, you can still place an order out there. So I guess the quote unquote collectible version, the incorrect collectible version, is still available. But I think
No.
it said there's only 6 copies left. So.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Why? There has to be a reason.
So we could laugh
But thank
about it.
you.
I don't know.
I know, and you have to. Well,
Yeah.
I started my post with the good news is that nobody has died. You know, that was
Right.
the good news.
That's the
Here's
good news.
bad
Nobody
news.
died.
Amazon totally screwed up.
Right.
And it wasn't my publisher. I mean, they were right on it as soon as
Yeah.
we realized that there was no conceivable way to get it out by our original choice of date. They contacted Amazon immediately, and that was well before Christmas.
Wow.
So this just shouldn't have happened, but it did. But a lot of people are going to have a very unusual collector's item. And George, who is playing nice these days, has agreed he will sign any and all of them.
Good on George. That's good to hear.
Yeah, good old George. Yeah, it's a new way to promote in a Flickr. Yes,
It is.
Yeah.
So get in a
Yes,
Flickr too. That's a good book. I enjoyed that one.
Thank
So,
you, darling. Thank you to Vanessa as well, and everybody that listens in your shenanigans and whoever is.
Yeah,
listening.
Shana, our Shananigator has been ill, but she's hanging in there. And then Donna, our Cheshire Cat. So we're gonna get to the shout outs. Anna, you can hang around if you want for the shout outs, or I know you're very busy, so if you want to go ahead and go, that's fine, and I'll get to the shout outs.
I love you dearly. Please don't take this personally, but I'm leaping right back into the proof.
All right. Completely understandable. Love you very much. You have a good night.
I love you too. Good night, sweetheart.
All right, that was Andrea Perron. Absolutely love her. Scoot over here a little bit. Let's get to these shout outs. So we had a couple of super chats come in here right at the end. I want to get to those. So Tom McNicholas popping in. I know that he's running busy tonight, and he's usually down there in the chat with all of you. But he stopped in with a $5 super chat. Says, thinking of everyone. Sorry, I'm busy at the moment. And then a $10 super chat from Tammy Heitzman, giving us love and hearts. Thank you very much to both Tammy and Thomas. And then earlier, Dustin Samario and Andrew Cox had super chat. So thank you very much, super chat superstars. Appreciate that this evening. Thank you for to Shana Shananigator in the chat, even though she's been ill. Donna Gorton, our Cheshire Cat, down there. Keith and Sandra Johnson were in the house. Thank you, Keith and Sandra, for hanging out with us tonight. Keith, we'll have to have you back. We had a good time with you back in the summer. So let's get to the shout outs here, and then we'll switch it over to Inside the Upside Down, where we're going to be talking about Mineral Springs. We're going to be going over a lot of footage and how this data that we've collected from Mineral Springs has turned into a story that we've been able to come up with a story about a lot of these things. So, right, we had Liquid Dreamer down there, Dawn Godsey. Let's see there. Oh, there's Shauna. Hello, my love. Greg Rinkins in the house. Beat 3 Airspace, one of our Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. So, Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons, get to you guys real quick. Tom McNicholas, Beat 3 Airspace, Zippy Davis, Pamela Queen, Andrew Cox, and Joe Chandler. Thank you very much. Absolutely appreciate all that. There's Rin. Oh, okay, good to see you. Miguel M., thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Denise Pridemore, thank you very much as well. There's Shay Carroll, good to see you. Sharon Lane, thank you as always. And there's Tammy Heitzman. Sabrina Myers was in the house. Hey, Sabrina, good to see you down there. Let's see, we also had Debbie 08. There is Zoe Small. Good to see you. Wonder Warlock, thanks for joining us tonight. And Candy Orton, thank you as well. I know I'm kind of going through this quick because we need to switch over to Inside the Upside Down. And Judy Wilson, thank you very much. And I know we didn't get to all the questions. I do apologize for that. We get deep into some of this stuff, and you guys had a lot of questions. So I do apologize for not getting to all of them. Lily Tooby, thanks for joining us again tonight. See, there's Chipper Terry. Thank you again. Let's see, we also had EQ. And yeah, there's Fran Molino. And let's see, get a couple other servers. Christine Jones, thanks for joining us tonight. And let me go ahead and scroll back down. If I miss you, I do apologize. There's Dave Nunnally. Good to see Dave in the house from Mineral Springs. All right. So we'll be talking about Mineral Springs here in just a few minutes. All right, Tim Schoen, yeah, good to see you as well, Tim. Great to have you out. And awesome. So, yep, coming up here in just going to take us about 10 minutes to switch over and get to all the great Mineral Springs stuff. So, all right. So, thanks, guys. I did put the link to Andrea's book down below in the discussion, so you can check that out there. And we will see all of you in just a few minutes. Take care. Get yourself something to drink and all that great stuff.